something in him just snapped, and from then on, he was never the same. From the moment Captain Jean washed up on the island with the rest of the survivors, his behavior grew increasingly erratic. The stress and pressure of smuggling the Malagasy illegally and being lost in the Indian Ocean had already been more than enough to deal with. But now, not only would he not be getting that big payday he was looking forward to, but he also wouldn't be able to conceal the highly illegal activity he was up to. If, or when he was rescued from the island, and that was a big if, Captain Jean would have to face the Isle of France governor. This stress eventually became too much for him, and he seemed to have a break from reality. Something in him just snapped, and from then on, he was never the same. With this break, his crew had no other choice but to relieve him of his command. Afterward, First Lieutenant Barthélemy Castellan du Vernet took over and began organizing survival efforts. In the first little while after the stranding, the crew gathered up anything from the ship that washed up on the island, while others swam out to the wreck and retrieved supplies still inside. Because of this, they managed to stockpile a considerable amount of wood, food, and various items that could come in handy. However, something that should have been the top priority, which was sourcing drinkable freshwater, was completely overlooked. Since the crew had control of all the food and water and the Malagasy were not seen as equals, there was little reason for them to address it at the start of their ordeal. This would result in 8 Malagasy dying from dehydration in the first few days. It was only after their deaths that the new captain ordered a well to be dug to find water. And despite their shared circumstances, the social divide between the two groups remained in place. They shared the work side by side, necessary survival tasks like the construction of an oven for cooking and a forge for melting metal, but very little of the food and water stores were shared with the Malagasy. The crew even placed a literal divide between them and the Malagasy by setting up a camp on the opposite end of the island. But the differences between them were no more evident than when Barthélemy ordered that a ship be built with the wreckage of L'Utile. Incredibly, the order wasn't just to build a raft with the scrap wood, it was to build a literal ship from scratch. When it was done, they even gave the new ship a name, dubbing it the Providence. Then, on September 27th, almost 2 months after their stranding, the Providence was loaded up and departed the Isle of Sand. When it did, it left all of the surviving Malagasy behind, with only a promise to send a ship back to rescue them.